What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy B3 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 102. And today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Shrek 2, the sequel to Shrek, and the second installment in the Shrek franchise.
Well, maybe I'm in love. Think about it every time I think about it, can't stop.
So what can I say about Shrek 2? It was awesome. I haven't seen the movie in a while, and I recently saw it. It was such a good movie. I've only seen it a few times, but boy, it's a memorable movie to really think about. It's one of the better Shrek movies. I think it's one of the best Shrek movies. I've only seen it. I've only seen the four of them a few times. Like I think I've seen 3 and 4 once or twice. It's been a while, but like this one was actually really good. It's amazing. It's the most parody fairy tale movie ever. Obviously, it was a sequel to Shrek 2. It's Shrek 1. It takes place right after the end of the first one. Well, it takes place after the end of the 4D ride, but plot-wise. But like it started with Shrek and Fiona living in the swamp, basically, and then the king and queen wanted to come to a ball with Shrek, and then they get there and have a disagreement, and then we put some boots, and then basically the prophecy was that Fiona wasn't supposed to marry Shrek. She was actually supposed to marry Prince Charming, which is not good because Shrek is the one she married, so it's not good that she married him because he's an ogre. That's horrible. So basically he hires Puss in Boots, who's one of my favorite Shrek characters. I actually started watching the Shrek spin-off show, Puss in Boots with the DreamWorks Netflix show. It's very different because of the voice actor. He sounds very similar to Antonio Banderas, but he's a very different actor. But in this one, he was actually, he's such a great character. He's one of my favorite characters. There's obviously the Spanish cat, he's a great character. And you have the Donkey, who is the comic relief, who's always funny. And actually, he made a joke to himself about he being the annoying one. I'm the guy who's annoying, whatever. It was hilarious. But basically, the fairy godmother wants to stop. Thinks that the ogre shouldn't have happy endings, so she wants Prince Charming, who was supposed to rescue her, and she wants him to fall in love with her. And of course, that's not gonna happen. So he has to get the dad, who's the king, voiced by Don Cleese, by the way, to basically force Fiona to go marry Prince Charming. And basically it's just crazy because that doesn't actually happen, because Shrek is the one who married him. But the really amazing part about this one that I loved it so much, it was the parodies. It was full of parodies, full of pop culture references. There was a Spider-Man reference, there was a Lord of the Rings reference, there was all the stuff. Lord of the Rings reference was when there's they're saying the movie where Shrek basically the scene where it basically parodies 2 scenes from Lord of the Rings. One where the ring is made and given to the where the ring is made and given to the elves, and one where the ring falls onto Frodo's finger. But of course, obviously in this case it's Fiona's finger, which is fantastic. And then there's also that's 2 of the scenes. And then of course Spider-Man when Shrek is upside down with his mountain face and Phil wipes it away to kiss him. That was a straight out of Spider-Man 1. It was fantastic. But I think there's a lot of other ones, but I think my favorite parody thing was basically Mission Impossible theme. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was fantastic. It was basically, you have Shrek, who in the plot line, he's he doesn't think because things are going crazy, so he doesn't feel like he's making Fiona happy, so he wants to change. So he goes into the workshop that the fairy godmother runs, who's this horrible person. She basically is a parody of the fairy godmother from Cinderella, who's not quite as old and happy, but she doesn't have a blue cloak on her. She's just a much different character. Obviously, they're not even based off the Disney character. I mean, a lot of them are they look like they're based off of them, but a lot of them they're mainly based off the fairy tale they came from. I mean, yeah, Disney adapted them, but they're mainly from that. And so there's this whole thing where he's trying to make her happy, and he ended up becoming human. Donkey becomes this horse steed. It's hilarious. But there's this scene where he gets trapped in this in the tower of the far railing, which is basically Hollywood, and you have, I think it's Pinocchio, the Three Blind Mice, the German Three Little Pigs, and then I think it's also Gingy, who's the basically the gingerbread man from the fairy tale. All of these are like, you know, folk tales, fantastic ones that I kind of grew up with as a child, and immediately upon, you know, the bottom line lighting a match. Of course, she's blind, so he falls down to the sewer, and then, or not the sewer, the drain pipe, whatever you call it. And then, of course, the moment that we see the matches, you have the Mission Impossible going. It's like, it was amazing. It was like my favorite part. I'm like, no way, they got the Mission Impossible theme of that. I mean, they got the fuse lighting from a few of them actually. I think the fourth one, obviously, I think the fourth one is the one that had the matches where they lit the fuse on was when the theme played. But it was fantastic when that happened. That you have a reenactment of the first Mission Impossible movie where with Ethan Hunt is like, you know, is via a rope or whatever, some wires or whatever, he's gliding down, and that he's trying to steal the knuckles, obviously, in that movie. And you have Pinocchio, obviously, from his little strings, flying down. You have the Mission Impossible theme playing. It's fantastic, and of course he has the live everything. But like it's the best scene of the movie where he's doing that. There's also a Godzilla reference mix in between. It was kind of like basically a Godzilla reference mixed into a Frankenstein reference. At least Frankenstein monster reference. People always confuse Frankenstein with the monster. It is not the monster. The Frankenstein is actually the doctor. People get that confused all the time. They mistake Frankenstein for the actual monster. Frankenstein is actually not the monster. He is the doctor. Victor Frankenstein is actually the doctor. People keep doing that. But basically, it was a mix between those two references in one, two parodies in one. It was when they come by the Muffin Man, which is another folklore fairy tale thing, where they get the Muffin Man and they ask him to get flour, and they make basically a huge Gingy. I think they had a different name for him. I don't think I remember what they called him. I don't know. But they made a giant gingerbread man, and he basically, and then of course when Gingy's like, oh, he's alive, it's basically like the idea that Frankenstein's monster is alive, and then basically he becomes this, essentially Godzilla. He's essentially a gingerbread version of Godzilla, essentially. And it's fantastic. It's hilarious. It's like, what the hell? He acts like Godzilla. He roared like Godzilla. Everything like Godzilla. And then you have a lot of other references, like most of the Disney characters or Disney movies. You have Ariel, a Ariel-like mermaid in the beginning of the movie when Shrek is kissing Fiona and the water rushes onto it, and then and then she's taken away and then replaced with a very Ariel-like mermaid because of the red hair and obviously the mermaid tail. And then there's another one later on. It was I think once they get to the Hollywood town thing, it's basically because it's when the Funky Town song plays, which is one of my favorite songs of the entire movie is the Funky Town song. But like when they get to that part of the movie, and they get to the thingy, the town, the far away land, which is basically a parody of Hollywood. Basically, is how it's signed, which is just called Hollywood. The far away land sign is basically the Hollywood sign. But you get to that, you get to the place, and it's basically like an attraction. You have a Sleeping Beauty attraction, which is basically just hair, stranding from a tower, and it's crazy. And they have Cinderella, which is basically this glass slipper shaped sign thingy. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of references. There's obviously when you get to the later in the movie, when you get to the ball, you have Sleeping Beauty just dumps onto the floor because she's asleep, obviously. I mean, they're not all based off of the Disney versions. There's a lot of Disney, Disney, I guess, references there, but they're not the actual Disney characters. Like there's an Aladdin Easter egg in the form of the carpet from when the fairy godmother decides to sing to Fiona for some reason. I don't know, like just introducing herself. I don't know. I don't know what it was about. And then when you have, I was from Aladdin. They have the I think you have the Cogsworth clock, and then the Lumiere Cabaret, or whatever his name is, or whatever species is, or whatever. Like after, I think that after the potion washes through the workers in the factory, two of the workers become those characters, which I think is fantastic. But there's quite a bit of references in terms of what they have in there. A lot of them I didn't catch. I was actually looking at the article about the cultural references. I missed a lot of them, but I think one of the funniest parodies, or not really parodies, references, little fun modern day thing was the drive-through scene. There's a lot of really funny little modern day references in this movie, because Shrek is mainly a parody series. It's like the whole franchise is mainly just a parody franchise, which I think is fantastic. But that's what makes it funny. But there was a lot of that where it was like, it was the very end of a concert, which is abnormal for a fairy tale. But there's a scene where the king, he's trying to dispose of Shrek. He doesn't know what to do. I mean, he's just like, oh, he's bad news. He's a monster. How can my daughter marry a monster, kind of thing. And then you have the fairy godmother, take the king, into the carriage, talking about what to do with the ogre, and then they happen to drive through and then they're in the flying carriage. They're by a drive-through, which is hilarious because you wouldn't expect to have a drive-through in a DreamWorks animation movie about a fairy tale, even if it's a parody. Why would you have a drive-through in that? What's the funniest thing ever? So, because that's what Shrek is. The whole franchise itself is a parody. At least the first few movies. There's a lot of parody of Disney fairy tale. I mean, not really Disney, because a lot of the characters don't look like they're Disney counterparts, but it's mostly Disney, the fairy tales themselves, the actual stories. That's why you don't see Sleeping Beauty with blonde hair, or any of those characters with the original hair color, except maybe Ariel. That was actually pretty cool. But there's a lot of really funny Easter eggs in there. I just felt it was hilarious, and that was one of the better ones, because you have this drive-through. It's just the weirdest thing ever, but it was fantastic. But yeah, I really liked the movie because it was a lot better than the first one. It introduced the idea of becoming human, having an ogre actually become human, because everything's going to chaos. The king doesn't think that Shrek is he's all this. The prophecy wasn't supposed to happen this way. I thought that she was supposed to maybe Prince Charming, and he emerged as ogre. How can that be? And it was basically about that kind of learning about they didn't really expect the daughter to marry someone like that, and of course they don't. I mean, it's interesting because I don't really think they noticed that it was like that, because they knew they knew in the story that she becomes a monster at night, so they didn't. Weird how they wrote that the writing was they didn't, that the parents were shocked that their daughter was this ogre, even though in the beginning of the movie we learned that already, which is so weird. But I think I guess a mistake I found in the movie that they could have I guess a Harry Potter style snake, where they could have used something to make something better. When the king turns into a toad, a frog, I think it was probably a frog. Yeah, for things they just dressed as a frog. But when he turns into a frog by the fairy godmother's character, she's trying to stop Fiona from marrying Shrek because he's a monster, basically. And he turns into a frog by that. But the weird thing is, because if you think about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 at the end of that movie, when Harry decides to not repair his wand via the Elder Wand. Now in this scenario, you have a wand that it used to be their godmother's, her she's destroyed, her glasses and the wand on the floor. They don't bother to turn the king's appearance. They don't bother to turn the king back into a human, even though the wand's right there. I didn't really understand why they didn't do that. They could have done that, but overall, I thought the movie was fantastic. It was one of the better movies. It's an awesome movie in terms of the parodies. They have the whole the whole Fire Over Everland is basically a parody of Hollywood, because they have all these store names. I didn't even realize. The only one I really caught was Starbucks, I don't know what the name of it was, but it's a different I think it's Farbucks. Yeah, Farbucks. So I think the only one I caught was Farbucks. So they had apparently old navies or something like that. It was basically Old Navy. It was just like a crazy thing, but I thought it was a very funny movie in terms of what they had, the jokes they had. I thought it was fantastic. It was. I will tell the story in terms of the characters they had in it. You know, having Shrek's relationship with Fiona, like you know, the fact that everyone is against the idea of having Fiona marry an ogre, because that is not how the world works. You can't have an ogre marry. You can't have a princess marry an ogre, because none of the stories end like that. So it's totally wrong to have that happen. But I found it interesting how even though the king tried to get the lock potion to work, and apparently the villain of the story was obviously the fairy godmother, because she was against this rule. She's like, especially when in this scene where Shrek is visiting the fairy godmother, and like she's like, oh, none of these have the Shrek, and not an ogre in it, not one ogre in it in these happy endings. Not one princess has an ogre as their husband. It's like, it doesn't make sense. And so now it's like, again, not now an ogre should, the princess should never have an ogre as a husband. That just doesn't work. So basically, she's the villain. She doesn't want Fiona to have anything to do with Shrek. So it's like, terrible idea. You can't have that to happen. That's just awful. Why would you do that? Kind of thing. And so it really kind of got down to me of like, that fact that Fiona loves Shrek no matter what, even if you try to obviously if you try to make Charming act like Shrek, it's not going to work, obviously, because she can see through the guys. But also the fact that the persistence of the fairy godmother was so great that she tried to make everything go crazy. She tried to make Shrek. She tried to make Fiona part with Shrek, because she didn't think that a princess should marry an ogre. It just doesn't make sense for her. She was basically the big bad of the movie. She was like the evil person, and basically that's the way it is. And I thought the movie was fantastic. Yeah, take away from this movie, obviously the music is amazing. They upped the game in this one. Especially, I think my favorite song has got to be when they first arrive into far away land, obviously, and you have the Funky Town music. It's such a great song. It's catchy. It's like, ooh yeah, it's awesome. It's a great song. That's why I liked it so much. But yeah, I really thought it was funny. I think that the weirdest part about this movie was the characters. And obviously, you have the ugly stepsister, who's like this. I don't know what she is. She's like this ugly stepsister who has this male voice, who has awful makeup. It's just, ugh, I don't know what she is. It's weird, but yeah, I thought it was very fun. It was a good movie. And then of course in the movie I was surprised. I actually remember that seeing that movie. It was a part of the movie where, like, the end of the movie, you have Donkey finding out that Dragon, who is his I guess wife, girlfriend, I don't know. I don't really think they implied it, because I know that they fell in love. She has dragon donkey babies. That's just the weirdest thing ever. You have, the babies are half dragon, half donkey, who can breathe fire. What the hell? Just the weirdest combination ever. I just felt it was weird, but I felt the movie was weird with Shrek. He was, when he transformed into human, it was just so weird. And obviously when Fiona, I think my favorite version of Fiona is obviously human, because she's obviously beautiful, but it's just the way she reacts to herself. She actually reacts to herself as is like, oh my god, what happened to me, kind of thing, because she doesn't realize that she's doing this that's happened to herself, because the spell apparently affects everyone, so it's that crazy. But yeah, I also didn't realize this, but apparently Puss in Boots was actually a parody of Zorro. I didn't really know that. I didn't even realize that. Probably do a review of both those movies eventually. But I didn't realize that was a thing. Zorro was or Puss in Boots was a parody of Zorro, because obviously they're the same actor. Puss in Boots is voiced by Antonio Banderas, but wow, I didn't realize that. It was crazy. But so in the order of the voice cast, you have obviously Mike Myers as Shrek, you have Cameron Diaz as Fiona, you have Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots. You have Eddie Murphy as Donkey, and then also the horse Donkey. You have, I think, Lillian, who is the queen of Far Far Land, or the mother of Fiona. She's voiced by Julie Andrews. You have the brilliant John Cleese as the king. I don't even. Oh, Harold. His name is Harold. And you have Jennifer Saunders as the fairy godmother. I knew that straight away. I knew that was her. Yeah. Overall, I like the movie. It was fantastic. It's. I guess it probably would be my favorite Shrek movie. I mean, I'll have to wait until see Shrek 3rd, because I mean I haven't seen that movie in ages. But like, I thought this movie was brilliant. It was. Weirdly enough, it was the only because then the first two movies that they made, like Shrek 2, that movie was like the only one that had the 2 like number, and then the third was like it's meant to be implied that it's like number 3, like the third, which is like the royalties thing. But like, yeah, I honestly had no problem with it. It was a fantastic movie. Shrek 2 is a very good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was funny. It was hilarious. So many parodies. I think it had the most parodies of all the movies I've seen. My favorite part of the movie has got to be the Mission Impossible theme. That was awesome. I didn't expect that at all. Because I've only seen this movie a couple of times, and so coming back to it after what year? 10 years probably must have been. I don't remember seeing that. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but like, I didn't expect to see the Mission Impossible theme in there. Like, that just caught me off guard right there. But yeah, overall, it's a good movie. I loved it. It's fantastic, and I would recommend it. So yeah, so all I can say about Shrek 2, excellent movie. People often say this is the best Shrek movie, and it's like, oh, they should have made more. There's no more for to tell. Well, I suppose that's true in some way, but like, they're making a Shrek 5. If they can tell more story, then I'm sure that it wasn't a bad idea to make a third Shrek movie. But yeah. Anyway, that's all I can say. I'd rate this a perfect score of 10 out of 10 because of the reason I liked it so much is because of the parody. That was fantastic. That was why it was so great. I don't think I really can think of I didn't like about it. Shining was a jerk, obviously. I didn't really find that all that. I don't know. There's not a whole lot that I can say about the movie that I hated. I mean, I didn't like the fairy godmother. Obviously, she was obviously a villain I didn't like. I didn't like how the plot was gearing towards, Shrek being lonely. Like, I felt like I really didn't. I wasn't a big fan of how the plot was kind of gearing for Shrek to be lonely, and like, oh, Shrek shouldn't be married to Fiona. That's horrible. Like, and he was actually thinking about like, oh, maybe I should never have married Fiona in the first place. And that, I don't know. There's really nothing I can say about the movie I didn't like. It's a great movie. It really is. I felt like, I thought it was a little weird how Charming pretended to be Shrek. That was just weird. And obviously, human Shrek was weird in general. Just weird. But still, yeah. And I think my second favorite part has got to be when, obviously, because it's the first movie that Puss in Boots was in, and it was the moment when Puss in Boots decided to go all cute up and like that. Like he said to go all cutie on you. That was another funny part, because he's always like whenever he does that, it's just so cute, because he's like, when you do that, it's like, I'm protecting myself. It's funny. But yeah, and then of course Shrek decides to love him like a kitty. But yeah, still great movie. I loved it, and it's fantastic. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate the support. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series I do, as well as other great content. And I'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya.